Great. I think we can go ahead and get started, folks. So thanks again for joining. My name is Raj. I'm a product manager here at Meraki, specifically on our wireless product line. I also have Katie Lane here with me. She is on our technical marketing team. So we're really excited to be talking about our new release called Presence. Presence is kind of the umbrella term for a number of really exciting features around presence analytics, location analytics, some integration with Facebook, and a very interesting and customizable API that we're also announcing that can be used to build custom applications based on end users' presence. So we'll do an overview of these features, and I'll also give you guys a live demo, show you how this looks like, how it could be used to add value to your deployments, and we can kind of wrap it up with some Q&A. If you do have questions, please enter them into the questions part of the webinar, and Katie will address some of the questions as we go along, and she'll save some of the more exciting ones for the end, and we can talk about them together. So without further ado, let's get started. So the agenda for today's presentation, we're going to cover the next-gen analytics piece and exactly what that is, the Presence API, which is a really interesting customizable API that can be used to build applications based on users' presence, a Wi-Fi with Facebook login, which is a turnkey platform that we've been able to build by working very closely with the Facebook engineering team that lets you use your Facebook page as your splash page. So we'll talk about how that's set up. I'll give you a demo and what that could mean for you and your business. And finally, some third-party partnerships that we're announcing, partners that help us bolster our presence analytics story and what these partners can bring to the table as well. So summary of this release, I think if I wanted to capture everything that we're announcing and launching as a part of this release, it would be in this slide here. So the presence analytics, what happens now is Meraki access points will detect non-associated users in real time. So even if someone with their smartphone or with their laptop walks by a Meraki access point and they're not connected to the wireless, the Meraki access point can still see that person. And we can still detect that person and we can report on that person. So using this information now, we've built a number of graphs into the platform that can show you things like how many people were passing by your store versus actually coming inside. And this detail can be useful for marketing and business intelligence teams kind of beyond traditional IT. The Presence API is a real-time export of the basically probing data that I was just talking about. The probing data that we use to build our own graphs, we also export that raw data on probing clients out to a third-party server. Some servers may be hosted by customers or partners, and it can be used to integrate with third-party platforms and build custom applications, such as pushing a coupon when someone is outside your store, for example, pushing a coupon to that person's email or to that person's phone number. Finally, Wi-Fi with Facebook login. This lets users check in to basically it lets you use your Facebook page as your splash page, and users then can check in using their Facebook credentials to your location. So this is great because it delivers a social Wi-Fi experience for users, and it helps you drive your brand visibility if you do have a Facebook presence, or you do want to have a Facebook presence and you want people to be advertising when they're at your site, or you want to exchange free Wi-Fi for some visibility and some advertising on Facebook. It's a great way for you to engage your users as well as drive your own brand visibility as well. So we can do a deeper dive into some of these areas now. So presence, the term for our next generation analytics, I think this is probably the most exciting area of this release, and I'll also give you a live demo on what some of these things mean. But before I talk about the feature set, let's talk about traditional people counting for just a minute. Traditional people counting systems, such as infrared sensors, video cameras, thermal sensors, you may have heard or seen one of these systems in a store when you walk in and out, and it makes a little beep. So these systems have been used by retailers, by hospitality vendors, hotels for decades. And these sensors can basically tell you how many people are going in and out of a certain entrance or in and out of a certain area. So it gives you information on the number of people by area. And this information has traditionally been useful for marketing teams so that you can understand variance in foot traffic by time of day across your sites. You know, which site is more popular than my other site? How is my highest grossing site comparing to my lowest grossing site in terms of foot traffic, so on and so forth. So the technologies that have been used for this traditionally have been infrared and thermal sensors. And what's really exciting now is Wi-Fi can be used now for the same purpose of people counting, because Wi-Fi devices actually emit something called probe requests. So every single device, whether it's an iPhone, whether it's your laptop, if it's switched on, and the Wi-Fi chip is switched on, which it usually is, every minute or so, an iPhone, an Android, a BlackBerry, every minute will send out a beacon called a probe request. And that probe request is sent out so that the device can build a list of available networks. So if you've ever opened up your iPhone and you've navigated to the list of available wireless networks, even if you can't see, even if you're not connected to any of those networks, and you think that they can't see you, those networks actually can use the probe requests that your phone is sending out to actually build a list of probing clients as well. So basically, Meraki access points now will detect probing clients in real time, and we can use the fact that about 50% of the population now has a Wi-Fi device to track Wi-Fi clients. And in fact, Wi-Fi is slightly better than traditional technologies because the probe request has the MAC address of that user. And that MAC address can be used as a unique identifier, so you can not only track when someone is outside the store or when someone is inside the store, but also if that person is a repeat visitor. And you can also do some more interesting things that we'll talk about later, such as tie that MAC address to the person's identity using their phone number or their email using, let's say, a splash page or a mobile app. So now that we collect all this data from our access points, we aggregate all of it on the Meraki cloud, and we use it to build graphs. And we call this new page and these graphs presence analytics. So some of these graphs will show you information such as how many people are passing by your store versus actually coming inside. Out of the people who come inside your store or come inside your enterprise guest network or come inside your school or come inside whatever your wireless network is, how long are they spending there? And again, out of anyone who actually spends time there, how many of those are new versus repeat visitors? So it lets you understand trends within retail, but also beyond traditional retail, even within, let's say, a hotel or an enterprise. It lets you understand things like user engagement. Are people coming inside generally, or are they simply just passing by? Are the people who come inside, how long are they spending? And are the majority of people first-time visitors or repeat visitors, so on and so forth. You can also organize the data by time of day, by certain week, so on and so forth. And marketing and facilities departments can use this data to understand trends. So let me pause and actually give you a live demo because we really at Meraki like to show you the actual product. So notice now how I'm logged into my Meraki corporate network. I have all my wireless, wired switches, switching networks here, and now I'm in this page which is wireless specific, which is the analytics page. So notice now a few things. The first thing is the appeal graph. The appeal graph shows you for Meraki corporate, this is all the APs that we have at our corporate HQ, and I think we have about 22 access points across, I think, about 5 floors. So for all these APs that are seeing clients, it's basically aggregating that data and presenting it to you in an intuitive way that you can use to glean business intelligence. So the first graph is appeal, and it shows you out of all the people that passed by, how many of them actually came into the building and spent time there. So notice how our capture rate is actually fairly high, 36% today. So that means 36% of people who basically passed by the building actually came inside and spent time there. That kind of makes sense because we're in a corporate and in an industrial area, and you may not have very high amounts of foot traffic, but you do have other businesses here as well. And if you do a mouse over, you can actually see specific number of probes by the hour. So on the 1st of May at Wednesday, about 490 people were seen in totality, and about 357 people were actually visiting. The way that we determine who a visitor is we look at all the clients that we see, which is all probes, and then we say, okay, how many of these clients had a certain signal strength that was stronger than a certain value, and also how long did they spend there. So it's basically a heuristic that we've built to classify visitors that takes into account time as well as signal strength. So they do need to kind of be in the general vicinity of the access point, and they do need to be spending a certain amount of time there as well. Engagement will show you out of all the people who came into the office, how long did the average person spend. So the average visit length, you'll notice, kind of fluctuates, and notice how it falls from Friday to Saturday, and then it kind of goes up again during the week, and it kind of peaks on Monday. And you can also toggle between simple and detailed graphs. So the detailed graph will show you now, again, out of all the people visiting, how long are they visiting for. So notice how on the 30th of April, there were about 240 people that stayed between 5 and 25 minutes, 236 between 25 minutes and 2 hours, so on and so forth. There's actually 174 people that stayed more than 7 hours. So this could potentially be the employees in our office. So a great way to kind of get detail. Imagine you're a retail site, or you're a hotel, or you're offering a Wi-Fi hotspot or an enterprise guest network, and you want to know how long in general people with devices are staying within your surrounding environment. So this kind of helps you complete that view of non-associated clients, combined with all the associated visibility and richness that you get out of the platform. Loyalty will also show you new versus repeat visitors. So notice how actually the majority of people who come into our office are actually, it looks like, daily visitors, right? Which kind of makes sense because most of the people here are actually employees. In fact, about 300 people in this building are employees. It kind of makes sense that the majority of people are daily visitors, and you can kind of see this trend increasing over time. So probably because the feature was just recently switched on, you'll notice how things are trending towards people being daily visitors. And notice how also the total foot traffic falls on the weekends. Again, not a lot of people work on the weekends, and therefore notice how kind of on Friday you'll see 450 people total and 280 people visiting, and then it kind of drops down to Saturday. It's about half those numbers. You can also adjust these time periods by week or by day. So let's say you want to see the data for a single day only, you can kind of toggle these graphs. And now I'm looking at the data only for a single day for the 9th of May. So notice how you can kind of really get very granular visibility by time of day. So you can see what time traffic picks up. It actually picks up at about 5 in the morning because that's when our East Coast team gets in, and it starts trending upwards and upwards, and it actually peaks at about between 12 and 2 p.m. and then it gradually falls over the course of the day as well. So very rich visibility, and this view is really designed as a way to enhance the existing visibility. So features like, for example, the clients page that can tell you how many clients are associated, and what their device type is, and what their traffic patterns are, so on and so forth. If I choose a wireless client on this page, you'll see different information about that client, where that client approximately is, what applications that client has been browsing, so on and so forth. So this is, again, only for someone who actually connects to the network. We also have the new traffic analytics page, which can be used to get richer visibility on which applications are connecting and being used on your network beyond just the traditional categories that we had. So you can actually see specific IP addresses and specific destinations. So notice how the majority of traffic actually on our network is, it looks like there's only one person. If I sort this by clients, you'll see, okay, within software updates, you can actually now see specific destinations. Within miscellaneous secure web, you can see specific destinations. So this is a great way for you to be able to get very, very granular visibility beyond what any other vendor can provide in terms of specific applications, websites, IP addresses. And now we're complementing that visibility with the analytics page, which is giving you now visibility into people who are not connected to your network. So it's kind of giving you that 360-degree view of people associated to your Wi-Fi network and also people who are just simply passing by within the range of your Wi-Fi network, so that you can get a sense of seasonality, of trends, of engagement, of peak hours, so on and so forth. And the use cases here are really limitless. It really depends on your business and how you can use this information to A, just simply understand basically physical foot traffic around your building, or B, actually do things like let me change my storefront marketing, or let me change my advertising, or let me change something so that I can get more information about how that change impacts my foot traffic, it impacts my capture rate. Let me also spend a couple of minutes talking about what's coming up on this page, because notice this little beta tag here. We're actually planning on adding a lot more functionality to this page. One functionality that we're adding, which we're really excited about, is the ability to let you run comparisons. So within the next couple of weeks, you'll notice that there will be a new toolbar that will be here, and that toolbar will let you compare the data for this site with another site. So notice how Meraki Corporate is our corporate office in San Francisco, but we also have other offices around the world, including an office in London, right? So if we look at the data for London compared to the data for San Francisco, it's drastically different, right? I mean, we have far lower visitor counts. The traffic on the weekends is almost zero, so it's probably not in a very kind of crowded area, and it really kind of shoots up during the week. And notice how the capture rate is actually lower, right? Probably because the London office is in more of a tall building with many other offices around it. So these graphs are kind of different between London and our San Francisco office. And notice how a lot less people work on the weekends in Europe. So the comparisons ability will let you actually overlay the data from the London office on top of the San Francisco office. You'll actually be able to get all the data side by side, and what you can do now using the comparisons view is compare, let's say, your highest grossing, let's say, coffee shop to your lowest grossing coffee shop. Or let's say compare your highest producing factory to your lowest producing factory to see, hey, are people spending more time in that factory? Is there more foot traffic around? So on and so forth. So it really lets you get a very robust sense of the trends and comparisons. And one other very exciting functionality that I wanted to touch on before I go back to the presentation is notice how on the organization overview page you can actually get a sense of all of the sites that you have worldwide. So we have customers who have dozens or hundreds or even thousands of sites across the world, and you can actually kind of drill down deeply and get a sense of all the locations that you have. And this kind of view shows you all of the sites that you have. And notice this little column here called tags. So what you can actually do is you can select multiple network and you can assign a tag, right? And for example, notice now if I want to search for a specific type of tag, let's say all of my airport networks, if I have, let's say, out of my 5 sites, I have certain sites at the airport, you can search for the airport tag. So letting you tag sites enables the creation of hierarchies of networks. And one very exciting functionality that we're enabling on the analytics page is letting you run these numbers by tag. So you'll be able to, let's say, get this data for 5 sites and compare it to one site. So you'll get the average of 5 sites, and then you can compare all those 5 sites to a single site. Or you can compare this site to an average of all of your sites. So by letting you assign tags and assign kind of tags based on districts, groups, brands, regions, however you want to assign tags, and letting you run comparisons by tag, we're facilitating a very powerful functionality of letting you compare an infinite number of data sets. That's really exciting, and that's functionality that's right around the corner. The engineering team is just putting the finishing touches on that, and it should be available shortly. So again, the view is really designed to facilitate a 360-degree understanding of not only user traffic and users' devices on your network, but also users' presence, physical presence around your network. The Presence API basically is an extension of the built-in presence view. So it's an optional component, but what it enables is it enables you to export the data if you do need the raw data for whatever purposes. Before we talk about data export, just a note on privacy, because it is a sensitive topic, the concept of exporting users' MAC addresses to a third-party platform. So there what we recommend is we always recommend that if you do plan on tracking user presence, that you display a splash page, or you display some kind of a notice, or you basically make people aware that you are going to be tracking their presence, especially if you're tying their MAC address to their identity in some way, whether it's their phone number or their email address. If you do end up doing that, that will be a separate external action from our platform, and we do recommend that you advise your users to opt in. We also have an opt-out function on our website. So if you go to account.meraki.com/opt-out, there you can enter in your MAC address, and what that means once you hit submit is the Meraki platform will no longer track your MAC. So if any access points ever do see your MAC address, those MAC addresses will be dropped. So for anyone who's concerned about privacy, you can always make them aware of this link and that it exists for MAC address opt-out. And also for our built-in view on Presence Analytics, we're doing some pretty serious and significant security hashing in a way where we don't correlate data across our customers. For example, we have restaurant customers and we have hotel customers that are separate. We have no way of saying, okay, this Meraki customer who was at this restaurant was also at this hotel. So we're not kind of correlating data. We're not sharing customers' data with other customers as well. The Presence API, what it is it's basically a real-time aggregation of all of the data that we use for our built-in view, which is access point MAC addresses, client MAC addresses, RSSI, which is signal strength, and timestamp information. All this data is aggregated on the cloud, and it's pushed out using a real-time HTTPS post to a customer analytics backend or a partner analytics backend. We are thinking about exporting other data, but we have not made that decision at this time, so it is just these 4 parameters. And this information can be used to build different applications. For example, if you want to build an application where you collect MAC addresses from your users and you tie those MAC addresses to their email address using a splash page, and then you use that email address to tie that to a customer record, and you basically want to add now the number of minutes that someone is spending inside your store to that customer record, so that you not only know online how long are they spending, but offline how long are they spending as well. Then that's one potential custom application. And really the possibilities are limitless. We've heard of people that want to use this API to track stolen devices. We're talking to hotels and retailers that are using the Presence API to push out coupons or offers based on customer presence, so on and so forth. The captive portal API, which has been around for a while, and many retailers are using this already, is a way for you to host your own splash page if you want to host your own splash to collect user data and tie that user data to a MAC address. So not only do we have our built-in splash pages, but we also have the externally hosted captive portal that can be hosted by our customers or partners, and you can use this flow because step number one, when the user signs on to the AP and they're redirected to your splash page, that redirect process includes the AP's MAC address and the client MAC address. So what you can do is when the user lands on your captive portal and you want to, let's say, tie their MAC address to their phone number or to their email, you can request that, and you can basically have an opt-in model at that point. What you can do now, when you combine these two elements, is you can engage the shopper. So on the first connection, when someone sees the splash page, you can tie their MAC address to, let's say, their name, their email, their phone number, and then on the second association, now when the user comes back, you can say, okay, even if the user is not connected, we will push them a coupon, we'll push them an offer, so on and so forth. Just one quick note here, and that is both in step one and step two, this platform, the retail business intelligence platform or the hotel platform or the enterprise platform, these servers and these identity tie-ins between MAC address and the customer identifying information is all completely separate beyond the Meraki platform. So Meraki acts as a facilitator, but we do not basically have any kind of mechanisms built in that would basically enable you to, let's say, push a coupon without hosting your own server. So using this now and looking at this kind of holistically, we kind of call this our next-gen Wi-Fi architecture because we can give you presence analytics within the platform, and optionally, if you do want that API for raw data, then you can get that visibility as well for custom applications. So really, the Meraki philosophy is to enable more intelligent reporting, more intelligent feature sets, to drive more kind of knowledge of your network, of your policies, of your users, of your devices, and now also of users' physical presence around your buildings. This is something that marketing departments could use as well. Using the Presence API, we've also onboarded a number of third-party partners that specialize in analytics platforms. So our philosophy is that Meraki provides a completely integrated service. We have the built-in analytics view. We have the Presence API, the built-in analytics view. We are kind of enhancing that over time. We also have and support a number of best-in-class analytics vendors for those customers who have deeper requirements. For example, big box retailers that require a turnkey platform to integrate with CRM systems. Maybe they need Nomi. Or big box retailers that have a turnkey requirement to export different types of PDFs and build different types of views for marketing departments. They could use Euclid. So each of these partners has a different strength, and we anticipate the majority of our customers will be satisfied with our built-in view. But for those customers who have deeper requirements around analytics, they can always leverage our analytics partners, each of whom brings a unique strength to the table, and we're very excited and proud to announce our partnership with these vendors. So finally, and I think the most kind of snazzy feature of this release is Meraki Wi-Fi with Facebook login. So what this enables is it enables a social element on the Wi-Fi network. So Meraki and Facebook have integrated to provide a Wi-Fi sign-on platform. It lets you, the customer or the retailer or the vendor or the business now, use your Facebook page as a splash page during the Wi-Fi login process. So you no longer have to maintain a separate splash page, no longer have to maintain two different platforms. You can treat your built-in Facebook page, which may already exist, or you can create a new Facebook page. It's a very turnkey process as your splash page, and the users can check in using their credentials, or they can, or you can choose to display a skip check-in button if you don't want to, let's say, force them to check in with Facebook. It delivers a better user experience because it encourages your users to check in and like your page, and when they check in or when they like your page, all their friends see that. So it drives brand visibility um, across Facebook for your brand, and it also lets you share offers and announcements on your Facebook page. And finally, Facebook will provide you with page insights for aggregated anonymous social media demographic information. So let me again show you a live demo of how this looks. So we've actually turned this on right now on our I believe on our branch London, but I know for sure on our corporate network we've turned this on. So under wireless, if you go to the access control page, let me pull it up real quick. If you go to the access control page under wireless now, if you choose one of your SSIDs, whether it's a guest SSID or a free SSID, let's say Meraki guest, under the splash page settings now, you'll see a new kind of option here, which is Facebook Wi-Fi. Sign on with Facebook Wi-Fi. And once you choose this and you save the page, you'll see a little configure tab here. And when you hit that configure tab, you'll be brought to your Facebook settings page. Now note one thing, the Meraki admin who configures these settings must also be the Facebook admin on the Facebook page. So for example, my marketing department had to give me access to be able to see and pair my Meraki network with my Meraki Inc. Facebook page. And you can also choose to display a skip check-in link or a Wi-Fi code if you want to, let's say, be able to give users a code on a receipt or write up a code on a wall somewhere. And you don't want users to have to check in, but you also don't want them to just simply skip the check-in. So now, once this is enabled, another very exciting feature is not only letting people check in on your Facebook page and seeing all these new offers and announcements that you have on your Facebook page, but also if you're the Facebook admin, you'll be able to see something called Insights. And Insights is basically anonymized social media analytics on the people who are checking in or liking your page. So notice how if I hit check-ins here, you'll see kind of the anonymous aggregated information on people checking into your locations. You'll see which countries they're from, their age, their sex, so on and so forth. You can also see how the number of check-ins have been changing over time. So notice how ever since we enabled the feature on Meraki Core about a week ago, you can kind of get a sense of how that's impacted this. And Facebook in their trials with merchants saw a 5 to 15x increase in the number of check-ins that were happening when they enabled this feature. So really, really kind of exciting way to enable that social sign-on experience. And the experience of actual sign-on is when you connect to the wireless network and you launch your browser, you'll see this page. You can check in. You can choose to automatically be checked in the future. You can choose to skip a check-in or use the code. If you do decide to check in, you'll see this little check-in browser composer window where you can input a little message and say who you're with and say where you are, and also maybe even add a picture if you'd like to. So it's a very kind of social experience, and this is how it's configured on both platforms. So presence, I think this slide, I probably should have taken it out. This slide was from our partner webinar where we talk about how these new features can be used to win more customers. But if we look at it within the lens of how this feature set can be used for your own benefit, basically I would say kind of looking at these two areas here, it's a very, very innovative feature set, drives a lot of visibility into what's happening in or around your network, and it complements the existing device fingerprinting, the existing traffic analytics, the existing group policies functionality, and it really makes it a very holistic Wi-Fi portfolio. And it can be used if you're in retail or hospitality or enterprise by your marketing or finance or business intelligence teams to understand trends and maybe even run some A/B testing on seeing how a marketing campaign impacts, let's say, foot traffic, and B, engaging users using presence, and also engaging users using Facebook as well. All these features, by the way, are included at no additional charge. So all these features are going to be rolled out to you at no charge. So they're already available in beta, and we're slowly rolling this out to all of our customers. If you do want the features to be enabled for you immediately, you can always email support@meraki.com, and we will turn it on for you. There's a lot of technical collateral around this launch, so this is actually all available this week already. So for example, there's a presence analytics data sheet, there's a presence analytics white paper that goes into a tremendous amount of depth around some of the technology, and talking about how, for example, probe requests are seen by the Meraki access point and how we analyze those probe requests, and some of the heuristics that we have for, let's say, how do we compute who a visitor is. We actually look at a certain signal strength, and we also look at, within a 20-minute time window, how long those visitors are spending within that time window, and if they go more than 5 minutes, then that person is a visitor. So a lot of very rich collateral around this release, and this is all available to you today, and you can actually get a sense of some of the feature sets as well. We've also launched a new solution page on our website around presence and mobile analytics and engagement that you can kind of use to get a sense of these features and what they can enable for you in your business. So I think that's actually a wrap. Looks like I zoomed through all the material. Hopefully that wasn't too fast, but again, we're really excited for what this can enable for you in your business in terms of user engagement, in terms of being able to understand trends in or around your building, in terms of being able to enable you to build applications for customer engagement if you do want to, let's say, push out coupons, or simply just understand and track better your own visitors. And finally, also letting you engage your users using Facebook. And the Facebook feature, Meraki is the first vendor in the industry to actually do a direct integration with Facebook. So you don't actually have to host your own splash page. You can simply treat your Facebook page as your splash page. So maybe what we can do is we could take questions, because I think there's a number of really, really exciting questions. And the first question is, can users opt out? And the answer is absolutely they can. So the opt-out page, and it's linked to from our website and from our white paper, is simply this page here, account.meraki.com/opt-out. You can type in the MAC address that you don't want to be tracked, both for the built-in analytics view as well as the presence API, and the words from the image, and you can opt out any number of MAC addresses. So this is a great way for you to opt yourself out or let your shoppers opt out if you don't want them to see, or rather be seen by the APs. Another question is, can I find out how many users opt out? So the answer is no. Currently, we have no way of kind of being able to tell you which users opt out. Another question was, I have a large number of employees. How can I separate them from customers or simply people who are passing by my location? So the answer there is, currently we don't have a way of showing you on the analytics page who is an employee, who's not, and letting you kind of separate out different data sets. We are thinking about how we can enable that feature for you, so that if you, let's say, want to kind of discount or not include in this data set employees, how can we enable that for you? So we are thinking about that, but today there is no way for you to, for example, differentiate between employees and store visitors if you would like to do that. There's another question here. Does the API work with Cisco ISE? So currently, no. We are exploring an integration with the Cisco MSE platform. So Cisco Mobility Services Engine is the kind of best-in-class, very, very feature-rich connected mobile experiences platform that has a number of very similar features. And we are exploring how can we integrate with the Cisco MSE. There's another question, can you set a time limit on the Facebook Wi-Fi feature? And the answer is absolutely yes. So let me show you how that's done. After you enable the feature under wireless access control, if you go to wireless splash page and you select the SSID where you've enabled the Facebook login, so if you select Meraki Guest, for example, you can set the splash frequency here. So you can set a frequency of every half hour, every hour, 2 hours, 4 hours a week, and this lets you basically control how often users will see your splash page. So imagine you have a coffee shop and you only want people to log in, let's say, once a day, but if the user comes back the next day, you do want them to log in again, then this feature will basically let you control how often that happens. There's a question here, can I get demographic info from Facebook? So you can. It'll be anonymized and aggregated, but you can get this anonymized and aggregated demographic info from Facebook. So if you are interested in the Facebook feature and how you set up pages and all of that, you can go to our online documentation at docs.meraki.com, and you can simply search for the Facebook feature. We wrote some online documentation on this Facebook login, and you can basically see how to actually turn this on, what the sign-on flow is, how do you create a Facebook page, for example. And once you create a page and you pair it with your Meraki network, you can basically I lost docs. But once you create that page, you can basically pair it with your Meraki network, and you can start getting the anonymized social media analytics there. There's another question here. How much overhead does this analysis require? And the answer is none. So many of you probably know that the Meraki cloud architecture, the way it works is every single Meraki device talks to the Meraki cloud with a 1 kbps management tunnel, and all of this analytics data is included in that management tunnel. That management tunnel is highly compressed, highly optimized, highly encrypted using AES 256-bit encryption. So this new analysis doesn't actually add any overhead. It's all just a part of the regular communication that happens between the Meraki devices and the Meraki cloud, which is nice because it means that you don't have to you don't have to actually change the way that you deploy your networks and the way that you actually let's say do your bandwidth planning. There's another question here: how far back do you store data? So typically, I think we're going to be aiming for about a year. So whenever we store application data, data on users, and event log data, we typically aim for about a year. It could be longer, but I think our target there is about a year of data storage. So I think actually that wraps pretty much all the questions. There was one question I didn't see, maybe it was asked, and that is that many customers and partners have asked, how do I deploy my APs to get the best information out of it, to get the most kind of rich information on user data, on visitors? And the answer is you should deploy your APs as they've currently been deployed. So you should not change the way that you deploy your APs, because on purpose we've built a number of mechanisms and we've optimized the functionality to work based on existing deployments. So that's why we're looking at certain signal strengths. That's why we're looking at certain timestamps and information in a way where you don't have to change the way that you deploy your APs. So you should deploy your APs and maintain your APs as they currently are. And if you're deploying more APs, you should continue to deploy them to basically optimize and provide for the most wireless coverage possible. The last and final question: how do I get a copy of the presentation? A copy of the presentation will be available at meraki.com/webinars. So if I just really quickly show you what that page looks like here, we do have basically the copy of the slides on this page here. So it will be uploaded shortly after this, and you can get those slides. And you can always reach out to sales@meraki.com, support@meraki.com, or your Meraki reps as well. So thanks again, everyone, for your attendance and for your attention. We're really excited to have you be a part of this, to have you be a part of the Meraki family. And please start rolling these features out if you think that they might be relevant for you. And if you do need any help or support, or you have any questions, please do reach out. Thanks again, and have a great day.